Hello everyone, and welcome to my personal attempt to cynically cash in on the popularity of the Fallout TV show, where we're going to see if we can beat Fallout 3 as Lucy Maclean. Rules of this run are pretty simple. We can only use items that Lucy is seen on screen as using in the TV show, and nothing else. When there's any doubt as to which item she was using, I went with the most obvious or more common one. For example, it's quite clear when she pulls a knife in the kitchen that it's a standard knife rather than a combat one, and although it's never explicitly stated, I decided to assume that she's using the 10mm pistol on the show, since that's the most commonly used pistol in the game, and the resemblance is close enough that I don't think too many people are going to argue with me. If you're curious and want to spoil this run for yourself, I've left a list of all the items we're allowed to use in the description. Also, as a quick aside, this really changed the experience of watching the show for me, since I went into it with this run in mind, and I cannot tell you how excited I got when I saw her pull out a Stimpak in the very first episode. I was less enthused with her choice of weapons as the show went along, but we'll get further into that later. I've chosen Fallout 3 for this run since the first season of the show has Lucy searching for her father, which is a very large part of the plot in Fallout 3, so it just seemed to fit the best. Oh, and minor show spoilers, I guess. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. First up is character creation, and to be honest, I can never really be bothered with trying to force a resemblance out of this character creator. It's a lot of effort, and you only ever see the back of your character's head, and even then that's only if you choose to play in third person, which is often inadvisable when crawling through vaults and metro tunnels. With that in mind, I just give our character dark hair and big eyes and move on. Special stats are official, so the choices are already made for us, though they're disappointingly balanced and won't really force us into any particular playstyle based on those alone. The early game and escape from the vault go precisely as normal, since the very first gun you're given access to is a 10mm pistol, though it would be remiss of me to mention that yes, we do have to shoot the Radaway with the BB gun, but that's required to progress, and unless you're a total stickler, I don't think anybody actually cares about that. The early game is balanced for the 10mm pistol, so we make our way out of the vault with no issues, and head right on over to Megaton as soon as we hit the surface. This is both for the main quest and to talk to Moira, who provides us with our one and only defensive upgrade that we'll be getting for the entirety of the run, the Armored Vault Jumpsuit. Our next step is to shake down silver from Moriarty, which is always worth doing since it's a minimum profit of 200 caps for only about a minute's walking, and we head off to Galaxy News Radio with our new armor and about 65 bullets in hand. This turned out to be over-optimistic, since we run out of that ammo pretty quickly, so we head on back to Silver's house to steal one of our only other two permitted weapons, a knife. This gives us an option for when we run out of bullets, albeit a pretty weak one overall. While we're back in Megaton, we sell some stuff and putter around a bit, and we get this hilarious glitch when we kill Burke while Lucas Sims escapes. When we head outside, his body just drops in out of the ether because the game remembers that Lucas is supposed to be dead. We decide to do a random quest so we can level up our explosive skill and defuse the bomb, mostly for the convenient bed after we get our house, and then we immediately stumble across some random beds we can use as long as we don't mind the smell of dead bodies, which is neat. Now we learn that the true challenge of the run is a combination of both my limited attention span and general laziness, and instead of either leveling up or finding a source of more bullets, I decided we should just push through to GNR with nothing but a handful of bullets and our knife. I also haven't played Fallout 3 in nearly a decade, which I'm sure doesn't help with the complete lack of strategy you're seeing on screen right now. We go completely unpunished though, because making it to Galaxy News Radio is actually quite easy on account of us meeting up with the Brotherhood of Steel a little bit sooner than I remember after leaving the Metro, and they're more than happy to do most of the heavy lifting for us while we take pot shots for XP and loot all the bodies. The Behemoth is even easier, since we can stand back out of harm's way and let it repeatedly knock out the Brotherhood members who remember to wear their plot armor today, and then just wait for them to get back up and deal a little more damage. When I say waiting, I mean that both in terms of sitting around and also using the wait mechanic in-game, since the Behemoth has a tendency to move out of range and allow us to wait for an hour to let our friend stand up before it comes back to continue the fight. We talk to Three Dog, always a good time, and our lack of commitment to making a choice is apparently terrifying, so he runs away from us before letting us finish the conversation. What happened here is I ended the conversation early because I was considering the possibility of scumming the 10% speech check, but I decided against it in the end, both because that's kinda lame and also because actually doing what he asks gives me more stuff to talk about. To pile glitches on top of glitches, I went to use the bathroom during this part and came back to Three Dog talking over the radio while he was staring me dead in the face, making intense eye contact and not moving his mouth. So he's obviously some sort of radioactive wasteland wizard.
Well, next time, this is Three Dog, ow! And you're listening to Galaxy News Radio.
Probably comes from eating all that 200-year-old Salisbury steak. All that done, we head in the general direction of the main quest and decide to mark the Jefferson Memorial while we're in the area, and it's while fighting the super mutants here that it becomes increasingly clear beyond a shadow of a doubt that the knife is quite limited. That means we're going to want either more ammo or a better weapon, and luckily the show provides. Take a guess what weapon we're going for in the comments while we make our way over to it. First things first, we get rested up and sell all of our loot for more Stimpaks and a little bit more ammo, and start making our way down south to Andale. On our first attempt, we get absolutely brutalized by a raider with a missile launcher in Fairfax Ruins, so we give them a wide berth on our second run back and make it by with no problems. Our knife breaks, and we use up way too much ammo just killing a random rad scorpion that was completely unnecessary to fight, which does help underscore our need for more consistent damage. Enter Andale. This small settlement is home to a couple families of cannibals who happen to use our last weapon to carve up their victims, the Ripper. While she doesn't use it as a weapon on the show per se, it's fair to say that the tool Lucy uses to decapitate the doctor is in fact a Ripper, so we're going to allow it. All told, we find 4 Rippers in town, alongside a whopping 70 pounds of human flesh that I for some reason decided would be really funny to sell to Moira. We also run into a pretty hilarious bug here as well, when they catch me sneaking out of their shed with 2 newly purloined Rippers and I unexpectedly succeed at an absolute Hail Mary of a speech check. It seems that they were even more surprised than me that I got it though, since the shock freezes them all in place and nothing I can do can unfreeze them short of murdering their asses, which I do because one of them has a key that will let me pick up the other half of my weapon haul. Also, it's worth noting how strange it is that killing cannibals doesn't hurt your karma, as one would expect, but burgling their basement after killing them does. Questions of morality aside, we repair our items up and strike out north towards our objective, which takes us past Rivet City. We decide to make a minor detour inside, which the game doesn't seem to like, so it just crashes on us. Next time though, we're more successful and make it in, where we buy some more bullets from Flak and Shrapnel, putting us up at an even 100. With these and our Rippers in hand, it definitely feels like we're ready to proceed with fixing the radio, so we head down into the metro tunnels. I'd originally written in my notes to bag on the metros here, but when main pathing the story, I think this was actually the only time I was obligated to go into them, so they'll get a pass for this run, even though I do get slightly lost for a minute in there. The Ripper quickly proves itself to be easily our most effective weapon, especially when using VATS. Clearing out the museum and getting the dish isn't too bad with our Rippers and large stockpile of Stimpaks, though it's definitely a good thing we picked up more than one, because the condition on these things deteriorates like they just came from Breath of the Wild. After finishing all this up and returning to 3 Dog, we breeze through the next part of the main quest, largely on account of having already marked both Rivet City and the Jefferson Memorial on our map, which puts us on the trail of Vault 112. Before we do that though, I finally get around to defusing the bomb in Megaton, which gives us access to a convenient place to sleep where we get both our repairs and supplies. I'm sure there's a better place to find all of these things with someone who has a higher repair skill, but this has been working out for us so far, and if it ain't broke, there's no need to fix it. We get into 112 and make Timmy cry, which is hilarious as always, but then just decide to call in the Chinese reinforcements since it just takes less time than busting up the Rockwells, and I honestly can't be bothered with their part of the quest if I fail the speech checks. After rescuing our dad with our particular set of skills, we go clear out Project Purity, which goes exactly as you might expect. Our game plan of running head-on into every fight chugging Stimpaks is working like a dream, and so far we've made more than enough money looting dead bodies that it's been outpacing our repair and Stimpak costs, so no reason to change. Then dear old dad dicks us around and holds out on us with the fuses in what I think is probably the worst designed quest of the entire game, but mercifully the Enclave attacks to put a stop to the monotony. I also would like to point out that I know I haven't really been talking about the build of our character as far as skill points and perks go, and that's largely because we haven't done much worth mentioning. I've just been dumping skill points into medicine and melee weapons so we can do more damage and heal more damage, and our perks haven't done anything to change the way we play either. We take obvious perks like Black Widow so we can deal more damage to male enemies, which is the majority of them, and other perks that increase our damage resistance and critical hit rate, all of which make us more effective at what we're doing, but none of which change the way we're approaching any challenges, so I figured I'd just mention all at once over some random combat footage. Last time I tried playing this game, escorting Dr. Lee soft-locked my playthrough when she refused to leave fleeing mode and I couldn't talk to her when I needed to, so let's hope it goes a bit smoother this time around. This does go as planned, save for 2 issues worth mentioning. Firstly, we die because our Stimpak hotkey gets randomly unbound, so I wasn't actually healing when I thought I was, and secondly, our low speech skill forced me to give up 5 goddamn Stimpaks to Garza over here, who is by all accounts a worthless sack of shit. I know I could have just refused, but we're doing a tiny bit of role-playing in this run, and I feel like Lucy would have given them up. Once again, we rest up and repair before heading out to Vault 87 for the Gek. It's from this time that I realized I was wearing the Vault 112 jumpsuit for the entire last section of the game, which is fine because it's within our rule set, but it probably did cost us an extra few Stimpaks and does explain why the Enclave were doing so much damage. The one perk of note that I pick up around this time is Child at Heart, which mercifully lets us bypass the little lamplight. Despite an extra quest giving me more potential content for this video, I tend to hate all children in Bethesda games since they're super annoying and can't be therapeutically killed like other NPCs, so the less time spent around these little mouth breathers, the better.
You shut up!
Murder Pass is kind of oversold by them if I'm being honest, since it's just full of super mutants, but we do make it live up to its name, I suppose. Once we get into the vault itself, we run into the problem of limited durability. Super mutant brutes have so much health that our Rippers all break pretty fast, leaving us to fall back on our pistol for the first time in a while. We have been slowly accumulating more ammo for this thing, but it starts to run low pretty fast on account of the issue I just mentioned about the brutes having tons of health. Luckily though, right when we start to run really low, we rescue Fox and he can take care of most of the rest of the enemies for us. This lets us retrieve their Gek, though we're immediately captured by the Enclave and without a chance to repair our items, we're going to have to start knifing our way out of Raven Rock. Luckily for us though, one of the Enclave soldiers is carrying a Ripper, so we burn through a portion of our emergency bullets, killing him, letting us pick up our weapon of choice and carry on to meet President Eden. We're smart enough to make him decide to kill himself, and as always the escape is trivial because the robot sentries take out all the Enclave members for us. We gear up for the last mission, which just involves repairing our Rippers and buying all the Stimpaks Doc Church is willing to sell us, and even that seems like overkill. While we did run out of weapon durability in Vault 87, we did not have Liberty Prime escorting us before, so the final assault shouldn't be too hard. What is hard though is actually getting to make an impact. I run as far as I can ahead of Liberty Prime in an attempt to see some action and get some results myself, but the mechanical bastard killsteals us the entire way, and I hardly get to do anything but run around injecting Stimpaks into my eyeballs. The final confrontation turns to be even easier than expected once we get there, since we one-shot Colonel Autumn and then Lyons helps us clean up the last two Enclave soldiers, putting us at the final decision. I decided we should activate the Purifier ourselves, since it doesn't seem like Lucy would make someone else do it, and also because I don't recall her having a super mutant pal running around with her on the show, so we very well can't have Fox do it. It's okay though, I have Broken Steel installed, so we'll survive. Anyway, we enter the code and activate the MacGuffin, ending the run and proving that yes, you can in fact beat Fallout 3 as Lucy Maclean. That was a really fun one, though not quite as hard as I'd initially anticipated, largely due to the insane damage the Ripper puts out. I genuinely never used one before, besides maybe for a couple seconds, so it was a bit of a surprise to see how well it carried us through most of the game. The main challenge of it, honestly, is listening to this noise that happens when you attack an enemy in power armor. If you're wearing headphones, take them out, turn it down, this is awful. Bit of a shorter video this time around, but it was a bit of a shorter run, so that's to be expected. I come up with one of these videos every other week, so if you enjoyed it and want to see similar stuff done, make sure to subscribe and do the other things that let YouTube and myself know you like the video, or even check the description to see how you can be fleeced out of a couple bucks in exchange for my eternal gratitude. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.